And particularly, like I say, with mental health, they won't fund mental health as mental health, right? They say that's the health department's responsibility to offer assertive prolonged follow-up, offer medication compliance, offer therapy, offer mental health day programs and things like that. What you want to emphasise is the long-term, ongoing disability as a result of a severe chronic mental health condition, say like schizophrenia, for example. And that's a clear, easily understood lifelong condition, but it has many disabling factors. Emphasise the disability, emphasise the life functioning, emphasise the inability to access the community without support. Yeah.
What happens when a person with a disability who was covered by the NDIS?
After they reach 65.
After they reach.
So my understanding at the moment is once you're in the system and you've reached 65, you'll continue in the system. At the moment, for people who are 65 at the transition point or over, there'll be a separate way of supporting those people by ADAC. But they won't be funded under the NDIS, but they will continue to be supported. But they might also move into the aged care system if they choose to do that.
So just thinking about that with the rollout information that I was trying to describe. So if you have somebody or you know somebody who is going to be on the cusp of that age group around 2018, I would be suggesting, and they're not already receiving services, you know, like as mentioned that I've connected with some people in nursing homes. One of those women is 62, and she receives no services. So the work, if we leave it till 2018, she's going to be over 65. So we need to work now to be, and I would suggest if you know people like that, it's kind of getting them in, getting them connected to a service early so that they're part of the first rollout.
Actually, on the aged care area, being the editor of the Global Disabilities newsletter, I get deluged with press releases and information and stuff from government agencies and other sources in that role as editor, and more than what I can actually use to put in each publication. In fact, what I've noticed and what I've been getting over the last year, and it's accelerated at the end of the year and into the beginning of this year, looks like aged care system and the politicians are looking at a total reform in aged care, and they're looking at the system that's emerging in disability.
Yeah.
So we're going to find in the next few years emerging in aged care for the over 65, individualised planning, individualised packaging, person-centredness, and in fact the aged care industry and the aged care sector have already commenced staff training and training for boards and owners and operators in aged care services, very much similar to what we've been going through with service providers in the disability field, because the revolution is going to spill off. But it's going to be a different bucket. It's not going to be the same bucket. So there'll be the under 65, the disability bucket, but there'll be a different aged care bucket.
I think Libby probably noticed is that the funding rates to the people with disability from language, different languages, different culture, if you like, it's pretty low. You know why is that? Or is the units can probably add what the council can do something on this area? You know, I think it is a worry.
Thank you, Vincent. It's good that you raised this. Council is very aware the delay in getting people from non-English speaking background or what we call cultural and linguistic, diverse background, because very often government, when they put out information, they will put out the English versions first. And then they thought, wait till we get reply from the English-speaking people, the mainstream sector, and anything we needed to correct, we correct that, then we pass it on to the other sector. That include, I should say, also the Aboriginal, Indigenous Australian sector as well, because some of the Aboriginal people, they don't speak full English in some remote areas. The council, the Disability Council, is fully aware of the double disadvantage for people from non-English speaking background, and we have made submission to government, both federal and state, pointing out to them how could we allow this kind of systemic barrier for people with English as their second language. I congratulate DEPA today for hosting, this kind of forum and inviting everybody to come. And I actually encourage you, as you know, what works effectively in the Disability Center is by the word of mouth. So if one of you leave here today, decided to tell another friend to look out for this kind of information forums and encourage them to get informed. That's really important. So the Disability Council has put that up 4 priorities. The first one is employment. It's really important that people with disability are not blocked for getting work opportunities. The second one is that we reach out to people from non-English speaking background. Non-English speaking background people are just like people with disabilities, right? We're very diverse. You can't say we wear the same t-shirt all the time. So it's really important to understand the diversity exists in that sector as well, because they are Australian. They have equal civil rights to be treated equal, to have opportunity to access information. So that's number 2. Number 3 brings back to the priority of inclusion. I would suggest that, I know nobody likes to read Acts of Parliament, but it is important, as what Libby had demonstrated to you today, so important for you to get the information. So may I suggest to you that you do find some spare time, even if it means you cut short on 1 hour to sleep, Find some spare time, read the NDIS Act, and be familiar with the NDIS operations, how that system works. If English is not your strongest language, ask for the translation to your language that you are comfortable with. It's your right to ask for that. If you are stronger in Greek, ask for Greek language. If you are stronger in Indian languages, ask for it. It's your right. So it is time that we have to be involved and participate in ruling out any barrier. If language culture is a barrier, it's also up to us to stand up and bring the issue to government. I am very happy that you invited me to be here today so that I can actually hear. Talking to you is one thing, but listening to you is more important. So I can hear what are the things that bothers you. Okay? So keep talking, keep listening. Thank you.
My son works in Canberra 4 days a week, and the family home is in Sydney. So he comes back home every Thursday night and he goes back on the Monday morning to work. So when I apply for NDIS, do I apply in New South Wales or in the ACT?
What's his principal place of residency? Where's
He rents, like if you look at number of days, he spends 4 days in Canberra and 3 days in Sydney.
Yeah.
So the family home is in Sydney, he rents a place in Canberra with a flatmate.
I must add, the funding sources from New South Wales.
Yes, but at the moment, he's with Sunnyfield, New South Wales, so I'm hoping that Sunnyfield will expand to Canberra and move it there.
Yes, but it doesn't. Okay, let's think about this. It's portable. So my feeling would be, because Canberra is happening now, whereas we're talking about waiting until July or maybe longer for here. So I think I'm happy to give you some connections in Canberra to try to see whether, because your son can receive the dollars and still use Sunnyfield back in New South Wales, or use, yeah, of course, yeah, and use other services, or so it doesn't stop those things from happening, and in fact it might advantage you in terms of receiving some resources a bit earlier.
Oh, okay, so they're already out in
Yes, yeah.
They went live straight away.
Oh, okay.
But the thing is also, like, I've recently spoken to a family where there was same or similar location issues, and the NDIS was really, really flexible with them. So they're really trying to make sure that the people that were important to the person could be included at all times. So they were rather flexible, which was
Because it's national, it's not state specific.
Absolutely, isn't that going to be fantastic?
A lot of people thinking the money coming to you, how to manage themselves a lot, but there's always a choice to make in NDIS. It's a free choice, but you will see these service provider has their positions all ready to go to serve you, and quite often talking to them is a very good idea of what they have been doing that sort of service in the past years with all the experience. And I think Sunnyfield especially I brought in because Bowman has a lot of services from them, and we will have follow-up sessions with Sunnyfield as what they can offer our people, like Kong, and in the case where NDIS is going to fund it, and or not funding. You can also talk about some services you desperately wanted but not getting it from funding. So you can always open this question to service providers, like they might do something.
Firstly, I want to congratulate Libby on her presentation today. It was just spot on, just so important for you to hear what Libby had to say. This whole issue of planning is at the centre of getting the best outcome from the NDIS. Don't take this for granted. Good planning, good thinking now, good pre-planning, meeting with people who know your loved ones, sitting down and getting your thoughts together about that person's life now and what they would be like, what you would like to have in the future is a key to getting the best result for the NDIS.
And we're sitting down having coffee, and 3 times in the last 8 months I've been approached by families who've got disabled children at home, and they're female and they're not allowed to go anywhere. Now what happens to people like this? What happens to people whose children, young adults, are still in their homes, have left school? How do you find them? I gave these people numbers of friends, all these other, and a few other groups, and I gave them to them. I rang friends and Ella and said they might ring. They're very reluctant to let their daughter. One was 28, the other's 34. They have never left their homes,
Yeah, so some of the things we're doing are just that. We're informing GPs, we're going to community centres, we're holding family forums in different parts of New South Wales, and we're getting, it's like Libby and I said before, word of mouth, really powerful. Somebody knows somebody. We're beginning to have conversations with the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander communities in northern New South Wales, because they have people living in the middle of Whoop Whoop with very severe disabilities not getting any service at the moment. So we've created a system up there of just beginning to touch base with some of the Aboriginal elders who are expressing an interest in getting better services to their community. So a lot of it's by luck, a lot of it is through just good community meetings just like this. This is a perfect example of how different groups of people can come together and, as Vincent said, tell someone.
That's to tell them about the NDIS, you know, for these people who are perhaps disconnected. It could be our responsibility as well to be giving people information and invite, as you have said, tell people, invite them along, tell people that they should be thinking about it or they could think about it.
So Gemma, I imagine, are those people not getting any services?
They don't leave their family home.
So this is part of that 460,000
Yeah.
which the NDIS was created to provide.
In the pilot areas and also in the national statistics with the pilot, I can't remember the actual figures back at the office, but the NDIS has given rise to many people in that situation that haven't been on anybody's list, aren't accessing services, and they've come out of the woodwork with NDIS, and service providers in those pilot areas are finding they've had increased demand from these new, in a sense, new clients. And so there will be people in around. In terms of finding out about the NDIS, we're getting to the point, well, how do people get to know? Friday, for Global, I do the website, and because I have a lot of education information on it, and I do the website updates, the job ads, and we have a conference calendar online. It's our most popular page. It gets thousands of views a year, many thousands of views a year. NDIS have a newsletter. You know, there's a number of newsletters that are floating around, and that's where you get to know through the newsletters, through the websites again. And also there are a lot, between now and the 30th of June, there is going to be a tsunami of information days and seminars. The Department of Community Services here in Burwood are actually running master classes for parents to enrol in these master classes in small numbers with close ratios with a facilitator. They'll teach you how to prepare for your interview. From people who know what they're talking about, they've talked to the NDIS, they know what the NDIS is all about. They're running those master classes regularly up to the time and probably beyond. There's various organisations, like thank you to DAPA for this event today, and Mark said that his organisation and many other service provider organisations, I've noticed in the last year, have been very proactive providing information, whether it be evenings, daytimes and things like that. Also family advocacy, been doing things. Carers New South Wales can also give you can put you on to people who are running these types of things as well. ACWA, the Association of Child Welfare Agencies, they're in, I had a look at their calendar for 2016, for this year. They're having a few training days on the NDIS as well. And yet, ostensibly, you think they're more about the child welfare services and agency, but they're also doing some NDIS things. So there is going to be opportunities around, but boy, there's a lot of families who need to know, isn't there? In the past, like I worked in community health. I was an area manager with the old Prospect Area Health Board after I'd left the university and lecturing, and then I was in community services at one stage from had everything from Sydney Harbour to the Victoria border. We had community nurses and social workers who would help you get into services. They would get the information, you went through assessments, you told them your life history, and they went off and talked to service providers, and they come back and said, we've got your day program, we've got your physiotherapy, by the way, Sunnyfield's going to provide you with some respite, you know? And they would broke for you. What's different about the NDIS, you ain't going to have those community nurses and those social workers brokering for you. You're going to have to go to like organisations like Libby to help you with advice and counselling, but you're ostensibly going to be talking to the NDIS direct to get the best possible budget, to get the best possible services. Now, one thing I want to, just as a bit of advice, take off the rose-coloured glasses. Really do. In my first decade of a career, I was assessment coordinator for the health department for adolescent and adult disability services in Western Region. Not for the whole decade, I've ran a lot of other programs, but that was one of the jobs I had in that area. And so many times it would be staff, support workers or families would say, oh look, my son or daughter, they can do this. Oh, they can put on a shoe themselves. Can they? Can they do that? I can cook his own meal. Can he? What if you weren't around giving the prompts? What if you weren't around pointing to what to get out of the cupboard? Can they independently do it? This is why I say take off the rose-coloured glasses. Often you want to present your son and daughter as being in the best possible light, in the best possible way. You want to promote their esteem in terms of what they've achieved, and they're great achievements to celebrate. But let's step back from that for a minute and think, how much is that ability a result of you giving the prompts, you assisting them, and you setting up procedures? In a sense, those abilities that you can brag about, subject to you or support workers' work, doesn't equal dollars, doesn't equal resources. And particularly if you're not around anymore. So take off the rose-coloured glasses, let's get down to the true fact. What really can they do and can't do? What do they really need support and assistance in? As if no one was around to do it. Then, in that truthful description of what they are able to do, that's more likely to be awarded some dollars in terms of recognising the true level of support, okay? So just keep that in mind. You won't have the community nurses, social workers brokering, you'll be talking direct, but also be very functional in terms of your appraisal of what they can and can't do, what level of support they need.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, sorry.
So Vincent mentioned, so this might be an opportunity if you know people who are kind of saying, oh, I don't think my kid could get anything and they're not going to be able to get something. We're running a day, it'll be on the 23rd or the 24th or the 26th of February. Where please come, because we're going to start, this is the starting point for some preparation work, particularly with people I think who are feeling a bit disconnected from the system or wondering, you know, are kind of saying my kid won't get anything, or like Gemma's example, you can see that they could be getting more. Please invite them along, come along, let's work with that. Yeah.
Never assume.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm in the northern area.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to be going back to where my son goes to explain what I've learned to tell them what to do.
Yeah, look, there will be seminars in the north, they'll be all over Sydney.
Sorry,
We can have three. Sorry, really quick. I just wanted to ask, you'd said before that if you're receiving several service providers are dealing with your child, you need to talk to them. What type of questions, if I'm here starting to get my head around what goals I'm going to set for my child, what type of questions should I be asking? What sort of information should I be eliciting from the service provider? Should I be saying, look, what do you think he should be trying to achieve, or can he achieve, or how do you think it would help him achieve? I'm just not sure what I should be asking.
So, similar to what Libby said before as well, when she talked about the calendar and what your child does on an everyday basis, and also the supports that are actually really truly achieved. I think that's one of the first things to start. I would also look for what's important to your child when they are in that environment, when they are doing certain activities. So what are the things that he or she likes or dislikes? So, and what are the activities that they seem to be most interested in?
Yeah.
And then link it on that, and then look at independence, skill building, look at any long-term goals around education or learning more in line with what's important to your son or daughter. So identifying really what, and I think that's the main thing, some people sometimes jump over that part, identifying really who's the person and what's going on for them in their life, what makes a good life to them, what has to be present and what doesn't, and then lining the goals to that. So you've got your base of where you start. No, this is my son, this is what he'd like to do, and that's why we're going to look at learning, whatever you want to learn, gardening or, So
Because sometimes the child that you're having beside you as at home is can be a different child when he's with carers, and as a child, I suppose I've got to realise.
And we can't often see that.
Yeah, that's right.
And I have to say, I'm the same. If I'm at work, I'm very different to how I am at home. So, and this is why, like, getting those overviews of the days as well, and what really makes a good day of that day for your child. But also the supports that are actually received. So maybe because he's in his, or he or she's in their own environment at home and they're very comfortable and quite independent in doing the things around them, whereas if they're outside in the community or in an environment where they're not that familiar with, they might need more support. So getting those ideas from...
Great, thank you.
I really must wrap it up. Just a round of applause for our VIPs on the panel.